Welcome back to When Bad Things Happen to Good People, a podcast about censorship and the arts. My name's Todd Sullivan. Joining me, as always, is Peter Raman.
Hello, hello.
And today we are continuing our look at The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. Here we are.
Maybe that's exactly what it's like to be on LSD.
Maybe that's exactly what it is.
Just sum up your thoughts and
just stare off into the middle distance.
That's right. Well, so we left Charlie on maybe not a great trip, and he is kind of the worse for the wear here.
Yeah, we discover that he fell asleep outside in the snow,
which is kind of potentially normal for him, according to his family. They're still concerned, but it's kind of, he's done this before, so.
Yeah, so when he's found by policemen, they bring him off to the hospital, and yeah, we learn that Charlie has this history of wandering off when his mental health declines. His doctor suggests that he see a psychiatrist again.
Which seems to have helped in previous times, so. He discovers that he cut his hair off in chunks while he was tripping, and his sister, out of kind of concern for him, helps him to fix his hair.
And Charlie decides he's done with LSD. He's had one try and it didn't really work out very well.
Yeah, which happens, right?
And what another thing that happens is continuing to experience hallucinations sometimes, which is what happens to Charlie, and he begins to worry that they'll never stop.
Yeah, so he's read somewhere or something that there are people where if they take LSD, it continues on forever kind of thing, and so he's concerned that he's one of these forever LSD people, and it's never going to stop. I
remember when I was sort of growing up in my teens and probably into my 20s, hearing that about LSD, this idea of not so much that they never stop, but that it's kind of lives in your they lives in your fat or something forever, and decades down the road you can suddenly have a flashback.
Yeah,
and that always kind of that combined with the possibility, you hear the horror stories about the bad trips.
Yeah,
those are the two things that always kind of freaked me out and kept me from ever trying it.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Stick to the natural stuff, guys.
Exactly.
You heard it here first.
Eat a random mushroom somewhere. Maybe
that's
don't
right.
Do that. Yeah. So Charlie does share, these concerns with Sam and Patrick. They try to calm him down. Sam gives him a cigarette to help him calm his nerves, which is something that always makes me laugh because nicotine is a stimulant. So I mean, I used to be a smoker, so I know I've definitely smoked to calm nerves, but it's not really. It's calming.
Calms if you're already addicted.
Exactly. You're not really calming your nerves. You're calming your physical craving for the cigarette, which does make you feel twitchy. And so if you're already probably feeling nerves,
but basically this turns him into a smoker.
It does.
Because I think he basically smokes the entire rest of the book.
Just about.
Pretty much, right?
I don't remember hearing him mention smoking as much towards the end, but it may have just become so commonplace that he doesn't mention it every time it happens.
Well, I know, his sister keeps giving him grief for it, and he keeps going for a cigarette and stuff. And
his sister does, I think, make him promise to quit. Maybe that's what happens.
And he kind of does, but we don't hear if that happens or not, I think.
After school, his English teacher, Bill, tells him that the essay he put together on Catcher on the Rye is the best one he's written yet, and then gives him another book, On the Road, which I've not read. Have you?
I read it a long time ago, 25 plus years, so I barely remember it, but yeah.
So Charlie starts, he's feeling pretty positive with the initial visits to the psychiatrist.
But he is concerned about some of the questions.
Yeah, right? Especially as the latter half of the book progresses.
Yeah. He feels a little disconnected from the world, but then starts to kind of convince himself that, the music that he's listened to and books and stuff like that, right? That other people have read them, and he kind of feels a little more connected that way.
Yes.
And then, he starts to enjoy his chats with his friends and feels like he's having a good day for, I think, the first time in a while.
Mm-hmm. He finishes on the road, chats with Bill about it, and notices that these conversations make him feel like a grown-up.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the teacher lets Charlie smoke in his office, although he does, suggest maybe Charlie should quit.
Yeah, everybody's pretty concerned about Charlie quitting smoking.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's not, I think even by
even then,
the 90s at that point, it was probably, everyone knew.
Yeah.
Everyone was pretty sure even in the 80s when I started.
Yeah. I don't know. I just remember it being so prevalent, at school, which didn't make sense because I'm pretty sure, I grew up in Alberta, that you had to be 18 to buy something.
Yeah.
But everyone at school smoked.
Yeah.
Well, not everyone, but I mean,
a lot.
A lot of the kids were just out
I think
there. And the school had a whole smoking section outside where it's like,
that's the weird part.
They put out ashtrays and all of this stuff. So yeah.
The one I went to didn't. We chose to go across the street down into this little wooded area and hang out there and smoke. And then even once or twice, somebody would come over and yell at us for what we were doing, even though we weren't even on school property anymore.
Yeah. I do remember, I think, when the province started changing some of the smoking laws for, offices and, bars and clubs.
I think bars were one of the last to go.
But I think once that happened, I think it changed to you couldn't smoke on school property anymore.
That's because I'm really surprised it wasn't that way before that. But I guess it's just one of those things that
it's just
smoking
legacy,
was
right?
so common for a long time that you hear stories about people who started smoking when they're 8 years old or something like that. And I know when I was growing up, it was sort of in that transition period where you hear about times where a parent would write a note for their kid to bring to the corner store,
please give Johnny 2 cartons on my account or whatever.
And I know when I was 14, 15, I was buying cigarettes without ID, without, I didn't
using the same note.
I didn't have a note even.
Didn't even need
one. My parents didn't smoke at all.
Yeah.
It was just the corner store lady was like, yeah, whatever. No one's going to find me. So yeah, strange time. Where was I? Bill mentions he might go to New York and start writing plays, which I feel like that makes Bill. I feel like it makes that sets Bill as a younger character, that he's still got this youthful dream of going to New York.
Well, I think it's said somewhere that this is his first year of teaching.
I think you may be right, actually.
Yeah. So he's pretty new, exactly. Maybe fresh out of college, and this is how he's paying the bills, but he has still these dreams. But I find it was interesting that the next book that Bill gives Charlie is a book that we have already
talked about. It's Naked Lunch,
which in my mind, if you're an English teacher and you're dealing with a kid who, has some of these issues that you kind of know about already, this is maybe not the book to prescribe. Well, I guess he doesn't know that Charlie just came off a bad acid trip.
Yeah,
either,
right.
But this is not the kind of book that you go, yeah, this is, for someone who may not be well adjusted or has trouble with reality from time to time.
Yeah.
Feel free to go back and listen to those episodes, but it's a wild, crazy book that is not for the faint of heart. And I could just imagine 16-year-old Charlie reading through that. He does say he doesn't understand what he's talking about.
That he finds it confusing and he struggles with it and tries to find ways to distract himself at home to kind of keep himself from, not to keep himself from reading it, but it's just, he's struggling with it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, nobody really wants to talk to him.
We feel you, Charlie.
We feel you, Charlie. After a Rocky Horror Picture Show performance, Mary Elizabeth asks Charlie to the Sadie Hawkins dance.
Yeah. Which is kind of neat because he did something really nice for Mary Elizabeth by getting the money for the punky horror printed in color. And she kind of because he played a different role, right? Charlie played the role of Frankenfurter.
No, he plays Rocky.
Or Rocky. Oh, yeah. He plays the main, And
because Craig didn't show up to do Rocky, so Charlie agreed to step in.
And then Mary Elizabeth kind of basically saw him in his underwear and was like, oh, okay.
And Charlie also mentions that, because he's playing Rocky, he gets to do a scene with Sam,
right,
who plays Janet, where they playfully touch each other.
Yeah.
Which he was said was the best part. But I think he also says something about how he tried not to think about Sam as Sam, because if
he didn't want it to like cheapen the experience.
Yeah, he wanted, if it ever actually happened with Sam, he wanted it to be with her and not her being somebody else.
Yeah, he didn't want to cheapen it. Yeah.
At the end of the show, Patrick shoves Charlie into the front to bow. Everyone applauds. Charlie feels pretty ecstatic.
I like how he thinks it's just like a new cast member thing to get thrown out in front of everyone. To take like the big round of applause. It's just like that kind of little kind of thing, that naivete of Charlie just coming through there. Yeah. He's like, this must be a new cast member thing. Like, dude, you were the star of the show. Like, yeah.
Although as excited as he is, he does note that he's glad that his family isn't there to see him, especially his dad.
Yeah.
Because I think, I don't know if, parents really kind of get Rocky Horror as much as the kids do. No. I guess, every generation is eventually going to be old enough to be a parent.
That's right. I feel like his dad's starting to come around, though.
Yeah, maybe. Then Charlie tries to ask his sister for dating advice because, of course, he's about to, have a date with Mary Elizabeth. But the sister is distracted by stuff and just basically wants to be left alone.
Yeah.
So Charlie turns to Sam, who does give him some advice for dating Mary Elizabeth.
It's kind of some conflicting advice, though. So she's like, well, she likes this, but maybe don't do that. So yeah, I don't know if Sam's advice was maybe all that helpful, really, to Charlie.
But I think one of the core pieces of Sam's advice was to ask her a lot of questions. Just keep asking her questions and don't do a lot of talking yourself. Let her talk about herself,
which is pretty
what
easy.
Happens. Yeah. Mary Elizabeth does all the talking at the dance, tells Charlie that he's sensitive and that she had a great time with him.
Yeah, because he can't get a word in edgewise.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Such a sensitive, good listener.
He's a little confused because it's like, well, what did I do? What did I bring to this date that you enjoyed so much?
And he's kind of frustrated that she didn't let him talk or ask questions about him.
Yeah. And he tells her that he's not ready to kiss yet. She says she understands, which was nice. And then Charlie admits to us, the readers, that he's not sure if he's ever going to be ready for that, which is
another kind of hint that starts to build in this section of the book as to some things in Charlie's past.
And then Charlie sees his sister get into a fight with her boyfriend and leave.
Yeah. Which now leads us into like kind of a new section of the book where Charlie and his sister kind of become closer.
Yeah. Charlie finds his sister crying in the basement. He asks her what's wrong, but she just wants him to leave her alone. When he turns to leave, she grabs him and gives him a hug, which Charlie finds weird because they've never really hugged a lot. And eventually she tells him that she is pregnant and that what he saw was him telling her boyfriend and him basically dumping her.
Right on the dance floor.
Yeah.
At the prom or Sadie Hawkins dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does make Charlie promise to never tell anyone.
Yeah.
And
which she now knows how to word properly.
Yeah.
After the first time she said, just don't tell the parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Charlie says, don't let it go too long. Otherwise you won't be able to hide it.
Yeah.
And she says she won't let it get that far. And Charlie agrees to take her to the clinic.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
turns into a little adventure.
It turns into a little adventure, but like even before that, this one scene just was a really I found a really emotional sort of bonding moment between the sister and Charlie, who have not always been super close.
No, like they have a very kind of fraught relationship up until this point, and I think it's really like, part of her fear and desperation here that really allow her to reach out to Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie's just being Charlie, but he obviously wants to help his sister.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it, her time of need actually ends up bringing them a lot closer together. And, it's tough to see, but it's nice to see as well.
So the next Saturday, I think it was, at the clinic, Charlie's waiting for his sister. He starts thinking about what she'll look like when she comes out. He starts to feel overwhelmed. He starts crying, once again being kind of emotional, which is one of
a Charlie thing.
His traits. So he goes out to wait in the car.
He's got to calm his nerves somehow.
Got to calm his nerves. So he's sitting in the car, chain smoking, which I remember sitting in a car, smoking out the window.
Except I don't think he has the windows rolled down.
I don't think he does.
He's in the car just like hotboxing it.
Stinking it up.
Yeah.
Eventually, his sister comes out, gives him shit for smoking.
Which I think this is the first time she's seen him smoking, maybe?
He hasn't even been smoking for that long, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she gives him shit. It is the first time, I think, that she's seen him and is like, you got to quit. You got to quit.
Yeah.
He puts together a little nest in the back seat for her to rest in before they head back. And he tells her that he loves her, which she tells him back.
Yeah. Just a sweet moment.
Then they get home, tell their parents that they fabricate this story on the fly.
Yeah.
That they went to McDonald's and to a movie. And then later Charlie and the sister agree that they're going to keep the whole abortion story a secret.
Yeah.
And she tells him again that she loves him. Charlie's parents find out that he's dating Mary Elizabeth.
Boom. Awkward conversation with
Awkward
Dad.
Conversation with Dale about sex and consent.
Except, like, Charlie says that he's had this talk with his dad before, but this time it was more like, laying out some moves and things. And,
right.
It's a little more active advice, I guess. Right.
And then after the conversation, Charlie remembers that when he was younger, apparently his dad was afraid that he was gay because he liked to kiss another little boy.
Mm-hmm. Did they say how young? Like, it seemed like he was really young.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
too young to know what was going on.
Yeah. I feel like those parents that are trying to decide the sexuality of your kid when they're on the playground is just, it's weird.
Kids just see a TV show and copy it or whatever. Like,
but like when
4 years old.
When you look at these kids who are like 7 or 8 and you got someone going like, oh, they're going to be a heartbreaker when they what the fuck is, what are you talking about, you weirdo?
Let them grow up and figure out who they are.
You don't even know if they're going to be gay or straight or
all things in between.
All things in between. Charlie ends up going on another date with Mary Elizabeth where they go to see a foreign film and then go to a record store, which sounds like a pretty good date to me.
Well, and the foreign film is subtitled, and it's the first time Charlie has gotten to read a movie, and he really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So welcome to my Netflix.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, wait until he learns. You can just do that on your home TV whenever you want. At the record store, Mary Elizabeth buys him a Billie Holiday record, and then they go back to her house to listen to it.
Yeah.
Then
they get cozy.
They get cozy. They drink some brandy. They snuggle next to the fireplace. And Mary Elizabeth tells him that one day she wants to marry a man and live in Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly specific.
Yeah. It's a white girl fantasy right there.
Kind of at Mary Elizabeth's nudging, I think. Charlie confirms that he likes her and thinks she's pretty. They kiss for a little bit. Mary Elizabeth lets Charlie take off her bra and sort of get a little touchy-feely. But that's kind of as far as things go.
For that night.
Mm-hmm. And Charlie is starting to feel kind of annoyed.
Yeah.
It's not
a two-way relationship.
It's not.
No.
And it is Charlie's kind of to an extent, his passiveness that is leading to it. And I think he's just not super into Mary Elizabeth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously he likes her, thinks of her as a friend.
Yeah.
She's a pretty girl.
But his heart belongs to Sam.
Exactly.
And I think he's mostly there dating to not disappoint her, because she's asked him out and, she says no, that'll make her feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like you said, his passive nature, he's not forceful enough, even if he kind of wanted to start getting a word in edgewise, like he just can't bring himself to do it or find the right time to, get a comment in.
Yeah.
But also I think part of his annoyance, stems from the fact that even though Mary Elizabeth talks a lot, she still doesn't ask him about himself or what he likes and that kind of thing, right? So it's really one-sided that way, that not only does she do all the talking, but she doesn't even, seem interested in learning about Charlie.
And even goes so far as to kind of point out how cool she is for introducing him to Billie Holiday, right? His parents give Charlie the opportunity to invite some friends over for dinner. So he decides he wants to bring Sam and Patrick over.
Yeah.
And
then his girlfriend
shows
shows
up. Mary
up
Elizabeth decides that she's invited too.
Yeah.
Which is not what Charlie wanted.
No.
And at the dinner, the parents pay more attention to her than Sam or Patrick, which were the friends he actually kind of wanted to show off. He asks his sister for more advice. She tells him that Mary Elizabeth has low self-esteem and
kind of lays out the power dynamic of the relationship.
Kind of.
Right? In terms of Mary Elizabeth wants to be the person that shows Charlie stuff so that she's in a superior position, right? That
and validates her.
Exactly. Kind of, the stopgap for lifting her self-esteem.
But Charlie doesn't want that. And that's fair. Both Charlie's sister and his psychiatrist basically tell him he should be honest with her.
Yeah.
But then he struggles with how to do that while also still being nice.
Yeah. Classic kind of Charlie.
And I think when we get towards the end of the book, and I might actually try to read that section. There's a bit of a small monologue from Sam delivered to Charlie about that element of Charlie and how what's wrong with approaching life that way.
Yeah.
But we're already starting to see kind of elements of it here. Charlie continues to sort of be disappointed and even resentful of Mary Elizabeth.
Yeah, because I think still at this point, she still hasn't really asked him anything about himself.
Yeah, exactly. She gives him a gift, which I think was a book that has like a poem in it that she really liked.
Yeah.
And he's so annoyed by this gift that he returns it. And then feels so bad about returning it that they go and buy it again.
Yeah.
And then he buys her a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah. Because it's one of his
favorites.
Yeah. And she does not appreciate it all that much.
She even calls it overrated.
Yeah.
And
nothing better than giving a gift.
And someone's like, it's a bit overrated, I hear. I hear it's not that good.
Oh, it's your favorite?
Actually.
Yeah, it's overrated.
And then Charlie says that he basically puts his feelings away somewhere after that. He tells his dad why he's been avoiding Mary Elizabeth. His dad tells him to be a man. And Charlie distracts himself by reading Hamlet, which is Bill's latest assignment.
Well, and Bill tells him to some special instruction for reading it as though he isn't Hamlet or something like. I can't remember what his instruction was, but it was to read it in a way to try and see it through his eyes and not. I can't remember.
Okay.
I have to look it up, but it was like a weird instruction, similar to when he gets to the Ayn Rand book of being a filter, not a sponge.
Right? Yeah.
He's giving Charlie these instructions on how to approach this literature in kind of a different way than he might normally. I think kind of see that in Charlie, devolving a little bit as he reads these works, right?
Yeah, because I do think Charlie is someone who maybe wouldn't have as easy a time being a filter over a sponge, and not necessarily that he's a sponge, but I just think he absorbs everything in the exact same way.
Yeah,
right. Very literal.
Yeah,
which is maybe why he struggled with
some of the assignments. Yeah,
I was thinking Naked Lust specifically, which
I think everyone struggles with that.
It's bonkers if you try to approach it literally.
Yeah.
After another Rocky Horror Picture Show, they all gather at an apartment to play Truth or Dare. Charlie chooses a dare.
He chooses all dares.
All dares.
All night.
To avoid having to tell Mary Elizabeth the truth. But he gets kind of screwed into it anyway.
Yeah. It almost worked out.
Almost worked out. He gets dared to kiss the prettiest girl in the room on the lips. And so Charlie, who has to be Charlie, which means being honest
and literal,
he kisses Sam.
Yeah.
And Mary Elizabeth doesn't take that.
Not really happy with that. No, she
ultimately Sam doesn't take it very well.
No,
either.
Well, because she feels that Charlie has done this to Mary Elizabeth.
Yeah. Well,
kind of maybe purposely, but
it's just not. Again, I don't think Charlie is capable of not making that choice.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how clear it was earlier in the book of how close friends Sam and Mary Elizabeth are. I didn't maybe have that
that's
impression,
a good point.
But
That's a good point.
Turns out they're actually quite close.
Yeah.
So this is, stirring up all sorts of things between all three of them.
Yeah.
But Mary Elizabeth, not impressed.
Not impressed. She takes off. I think Sam takes off to try to find her and make her feel better.
Yeah. And Patrick basically takes Charlie.
Yeah, Patrick steps in and is like, let's get out of here. On the way, Charlie updates Patrick on everything that's been going on. Patrick tells him that it's too bad that Charlie isn't gay.
Yeah.
And Charlie tells Patrick that if he were gay, he'd want to date Patrick. Which, again, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
And this could be another one of
just
those
Charlie being nice.
I'm trying to be nice kind of moments.
But also you feel like whether that's something he would just say, like, I guess maybe he kind of means it.
I guess.
Because I don't know if he can think of it like that far out.
I guess to an extent, like Patrick and Sam are pretty co-equal in his brain.
Yeah. I mean, they're twins, right? Like,
Are they?
I thought so.
Okay.
No? I don't know. I thought they were fraternal twins.
I have no idea.
What? Yeah. We have to go back to the start of the book.
Headcanon. But it is conceivable that, like, if he was gay, his attraction would have gone the other way.
Yeah.
It was either Sam or Patrick,
one or the other,
depending on which way he rolled.
Yeah.
That night, he's lying in bed and thinks something is really wrong with him, but he doesn't know what.
Yeah. And he's kind of now ostracized a little bit from the group because Patrick tells him, hey, like, you need to stay away until things cool off, until this kind of blows over. But, Charlie being Charlie, I don't think he understands, like, what that means, proper amount of time is, or how to leave it alone. So he just kind of does his own thing and nobody reaches out to him.
Yeah. So he's kind of abandoned for Easter break.
Yeah.
He reads Hamlet and finds himself relating to the character.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to call Mary Elizabeth to apologize, but she tells him it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
And Patrick again advises Charlie to just sort of keep your distance for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
He writes that his sister has a new boyfriend and his brother and his girlfriend broke up when she found out that he was cheating on her. And everybody is all kind of just busy with their lives. And Charlie is isolated and kind of feels like he deserves it.
Yeah. But, the loneliness, I think we all kind of see as not being a good thing for Charlie.
No.
Right? Like, he was really at this point in his life where he was, getting all this friend group and, things seem to be on track. And this is kind of a major blow. And then the loneliness on top of it is kind of tough for Charlie.
And he's not digging the psychiatrist and he's not digging the meds that he's on. And he just wants someone to come and tell him what's wrong.
Yeah. And then he gets more into pot.
Yeah.
He starts buying it on his own.
Yes.
Going directly to Bob, right? And just dropping the cash.
Yeah. Now to part 4.
So this is after Easter break.
After Easter break, back to school again.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie is just wondering what everyone's days have been like. He thinks about how if he had gone to another school, he wouldn't know his friends. So he's not sure why it all feels so personal.
Yeah, I mean,
he gets increasingly lonely.
Yeah, he's still like just that isolated kid, right? He's, even though he's back at school amongst all these people, he's still just this lonely guy because he hasn't yet reconciled with his friend group. So he's still this stranger, this outsider again, and that's not good for him.
Mm-hmm. And he points out the only person he's talked to in the last 2 weeks is Susan, who I think was Michael's girlfriend.
Yeah, or she was the other girl like that knew Michael really well. I don't know if they dated because I think he was, they were kind of younger, right, when he died.
Maybe, yeah. But he asked Susan if she misses Michael. And
in a very weird and awkward way.
Yeah. And she just sort of stares at him and tells her friends that Charlie's a freak.
Doesn't he have some thoughts as well of like, would they hang out or be friends, or would she even like Michael now? Because she's surrounded by kind of a group of dudes that are all like, courtesans essentially.
Yeah.
And he kind of has these thoughts of like, would she even like Michael, at this point in her life? And, so just all these kind of bittersweet memories and things that he's thinking of. Like he's not in a great place. Right.
But it's also hard, I think, to talk to somebody where kind of the only shared connection you have with them is as someone who's died.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the only kind of conversation that you can really kind of start?
Yeah.
You know, do you still miss this person? Do you still think about them? Charlie's off buying more weed, and he hears about Brad's dad catching Brad with Patrick.
This is a bad turn as well.
Yeah, apparently Brad's dad beat him so badly that he couldn't come to school for a week.
Yeah. Well, and this is the repercussions on everyone are bad, right? Brad physically, getting abused, obviously the relationship is over between him and Patrick.
Yeah.
Patrick is, thrown into the ringer here because now he's, has to be away from Brad and, pretty much I think he was in love with Brad, right?
I think so, yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty hard on Patrick as well. And yeah, things kind of spiral down here for Patrick.
Mm-hmm. But Charlie goes to the next Rocky Horror Picture Show, but he doesn't kind of announce himself. He just sits in the back and watches because he just kind of wants to see Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
And he sneaks away before the show is over, so he doesn't have to, interact with anybody because he's still keeping his distance, still feels kind of unwelcome. On the way home, he kind of pretends that his friends are with him. At home, he tries to join his sister and her new boyfriend when they watch a movie.
Doesn't quite get the hint.
Doesn't quite get the hint. And he's so lonely. He's just trying to find somebody that he can just spend some time with, and everyone is pushing him away.
Yeah, and I mean, his sister, like, he's recently gotten closer with her, and she's pushing him away. His friend group seems like unapproachable at the moment, and he feels guilty for that on top of it. So he's less, kind of open to making the first move to reach out to them. And so, yeah, he's just wallowing in kind of despair and loneliness right now.
Yeah. School on Monday, Brad is returned, and Charlie notices that he's changed.
He's lost his swagger.
He's lost his swagger.
Yeah.
He doesn't look people in the eyes. He's ignoring Patrick until Patrick finally sort of forces him during lunch one day. And then Brad calls him a faggot.
Mm-hmm. Like in front of the whole school.
In front of the whole school. Yeah. And especially, because, Brad is in with the kind of the jocks.
Yeah.
So I think it's that it's less the whole school.
Well, it's in the cafeteria.
It is in the well, yeah, but I mean, to in my mind, the issue is less that it's in front of the whole school, but it's that he's attempting to kind of play the jock bully and deny who he is to what are supposed to be, or what he thinks are his social group, while rejecting this person he probably cares for quite a bit, if not loves.
Yeah.
And so they get into a fist fight.
Yeah.
And Charlie steps in.
Well,
because the rest of the team,
they get into a fight, and, Patrick is kind of starting to get the upper hand, and the rest of the team kind of jumps in, which is like another 4 or 5 guys. And then, as we know, Charlie is a bit of a crazy fighter.
Yeah.
And he jumps in like 4 guys.
Yeah.
And leaves a bit of a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of puts these guys in their place.
And then when it's over, he threatens Brad that he will tell everyone about them if he ever hurts Patrick again.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick gets suspended for starting the fight, and Brad and Charlie get a month's detention.
Mm-hmm.
When they're in detention, Brad thanks Charlie for stopping the friends. Sam is waiting for Charlie to get out of detention and tells them they can be friends again.
Yeah.
So they finally got through the
awkward. Well, I mean, there's more awkward to come, but yeah. But that phase is over. He's now not so much excommunicado anymore.
Yeah. The next Friday, he's back to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Mary Elizabeth tells him that, they're cool again. She's now dating somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, she moved on, so now she's cool.
Happier.
Yeah, it's only now cool because she moved on.
Exactly. And she's found somebody who doesn't want to talk anyway, so it's fine. Patrick has now quit playing Frankenfurter, saying he never wants to do it again. He just watches the show in the audience with Charlie. And he asks, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is, obviously what happened with Brad. Patrick's starting to kind of spiral now, right?
Yeah,
he's pulled out of the show.
Exactly.
Like, his behavior's changing. Things are getting worse for Patrick right now.
Charlie and Patrick start spending a lot of time together.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick is smoking a lot and taking
like caffeine pills.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they call them, but like
it's like 5-Up or.
I remember this like in the 80s, right? Like, you could go to any kind of drugstore, gas station, and get
Probably,
these,
yeah,
like,
gas station.
pep up pills or
Yeah,
whatever. I can't remember what they're called when I was a kid, and yeah, they're dangerous. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not, and he's drinking, I think.
He's drinking a lot of wine.
Yeah.
And they're going out for drives. Patrick's playing the mixtape that Charlie made for him.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, I don't remember what it's actually called, but basically he's going looking for hookups.
Mm-hmm.
He's going
it's
to
like
these,
that shady park or whatever where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Patrick sort of tells Charlie, like, you're fine here. Just don't make eye contact with anyone, because that's how you tell someone that you want to hook up, is you make eye contact. And then
it's on, apparently. Like,
yeah. So Charlie is just kind of coming along for the...
I mean, I think he's too maybe naive to know, but he's basically become Patrick's enabler during this crazy spiral,
as far as that
right?
goes.
Like, and he doesn't realize, so he's just along for the ride.
Yeah, because I think Charlie's been left alone for so long that he's just appreciating
for anything.
This. Not even thinking about how he's kind of enabling this bad behavior with the caffeine pills and the wine and the cigarettes, but then also just kind of sitting around by himself smoking a cigarette while Patrick's off hooking up with people.
Yeah.
And then one night he ends up bumping into...
It's like a news anchor or
sports
something.
Anchor.
Like the sports anchor, the local...
From a local newscast, who I think asks... Charlie's smoking, and he asks Charlie for a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's trying to, like... He does this whole, like, gives him a cigarette and, lights a match for him and everything else, but is also kind of noting that he's doing this in as awkward a way... Trying not to make eye contact, or not to give the impression that he's
following Patrick's warning.
Yeah. But then the broadcaster ends up talking about Charlie's brother a little bit and his football, and how like the school that the school he's playing for is doing well, and like the recruiters have their eye on that team and everything else.
And then Charlie kind of asks him, like, "Oh, what's it like to be the sportscaster or something like that, or work?" And then he knows his cover's blown, so this guy just takes off.
And then on one of these nights, when Patrick is taking Charlie home, he tries to kiss Charlie, and Charlie lets him.
Yeah, Charlie's, I guess both the desperation for friendship as well as the not knowing how to, put up boundaries or
without hurting someone's feelings.
Someone, just lets him kiss him, even though he doesn't really enjoy it.
Yeah, he's basically spending every night with Patrick now,
but even he's now picking up on the Patrick has a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, now he's seeing a lot of things, right, that Patrick is into besides the hookups, right? He kind of gets this tour of the town and where he and Brad did this and he and Brad did that, and pretty sad kind of tour, I guess, in a sense. But yeah, Charlie's just not really able to, I think, provide the right support that cuts off that enablement and really tries to start the healing process. So yeah, it's just kind of
the thing that ends up breaking it is they end up seeing Brad at one of these locations one night picking up somebody else, and it basically kind of knocks Patrick out of it
at the pickup park or whatever, right? Yeah.
And so they drive away. Patrick lugs the wine out the window and drops Charlie off. And on this particular night, there's no attempt at kissing. He just thanks Charlie for being his friend.
Mm-hmm.
During the last weeks of school, Charlie tells us that, everything is focused on graduation and prom because it's getting close. Bill, the English teacher, is getting sentimental about finishing the first year of school and is starting to have second thoughts about moving to New York.
Yeah.
Kind of enjoyed the teaching, and he says he thinks he might be able to take over the drama program the next year.
Yeah. Gives
Charlie a list of movies to watch and write about, and then gives him one final book, The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, and advises Charlie to be a filter and not a sponge.
Yeah.
Charlie his grades are doing well. He's struggling in math a little bit because he keeps asking why.
Yeah.
And the teacher just says, just stop. Just look at the equations. Just follow the equations.
And then he knocks it out of the park after that.
Exactly. Right? Math is not a Y kind of class.
No, it's pretty black and white.
It really is. Charlie says he enjoys the Fountainhead, admires the writer because she came to America barely speaking English.
Yeah, so Charlie's, feeling excited for his friends and their plans and that kind of stuff, but he's also starting to realize that
everybody's leaving.
Yeah, his friend group is all seniors, right? Not just, Sam and Patrick, but Mary Elizabeth and Bob. Well, Bob's already graduated, but
yeah,
a lot of the people that they hang around with are.
But even Bob, like he's not going to be in Bob's class next year.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So yeah, he's getting kind of nervous about school with just him, and he doesn't really know anyone in his own grade and all this kind of stuff, right? So there's more pressure and more kind of crisis of what am I going to do as myself.
When we get to the last day of school, Charlie is feeling good. He's feeling happy for everyone because everyone is happy.
Yeah.
He just really appreciates seeing the people he cares about being happy.
Yeah.
His sister even lets him give her a hug in the hall. Charlie, Sam, and Patrick go to Big Boy, and they talk about the things that seemed important at the time, sort of reminiscing about their time together.
Being infinite and all the fun times, right? It's a good look back.
Yeah. They go to a Rocky Horror Picture Show performance. Patrick plays Frankenfurter one more time, and Charlie thinks it's his best performance ever. Charlie's sister and her new boyfriend come to the show, and Charlie teaches them how to do the time warp because
they're virgins.
Because they're virgins.
They have to go up on stage.
If you've never gone before, you have to go out and try to do the time warp. And if you don't do a very good job, you have to like hump an inflatable Gumby.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the inflatable Gumby is like official,
like a name
brand. Like if it's always an inflatable Gumby, or if like
I don't know.
Each community screening or whatever has a different way of approaching the punishment for being a newbie.
I've never been to one of like these type of dress up screenings.
I haven't either. Yeah. Maybe I'll have to. Maybe I'll have to go because I guess I'd be going as a virginal.
Yeah.
I'll do an undercover report and see if
I think we'll learn the time warp first and then go.
I should know the time warp. I did lights and sound on a production of the Rocky Horror Show.
Oh, okay.
In Williams Lake many years ago. So I saw many performances of the time warp. Charlie goes off to a party afterwards where he basically spends the night DJing.
Yeah. He has an affinity for like getting the right piece of music to suit the mood. And he applies this here where, the ebbs and flows of the conversation in the night, he's just kind of picking the perfect songs to go along with what people are feeling. And people notice. They're like, yeah, man, you're great, Charlie.
I think somebody even suggests maybe like doing DJing, while you're going to college to make money on the side. On prom night, he feels kind of lonely because his friends are all at prom. The next day, he gets home from school and finds that his friends and sister are still asleep from the night before.
Yeah, everybody's basically hungover. He tries calling Sam and Patrick. Nobody answers.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's
and then
down and out.
He gets an invite from Bill to come and spend the day with him and his girlfriend.
Which, I enjoyed this little kind of dinner, lunch, whatever, at Bill's house, but it seemed kind of an odd scene to me in the book, but I still thought it was neat.
It's odd in the sense that I think it's unusual for a teacher to do this.
Yeah.
At any time.
Yeah.
To say like, hey, come over and have dinner and at some point in the conversation, he's like, I want you to think of me as a friend because I think of you as a friend.
Yeah. But also touting him as like, this kind of genius or savant.
Well, and that's,
whatever,
I was going to get to that point too, because that's the part where I think it does make sense what the teacher does. That in a sense, it does feel like that's almost a teacher's job if he encounters a student that
this is not a normal student.
Gifted.
Yeah.
Because that's the conversation that basically Bill has. Or sorry, is it Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill has with Charlie. They talk about the books a little bit, and then he says to Charlie, do you know how smart you are? Do you know that the reason I've been giving you all of these books to read and write these essays on is because I think you are exceptionally intelligent, and I'm trying to challenge you.
Yeah.
And Charlie kind of finds the whole conversation a little bit awkward because I don't think he realizes that about himself either.
Yeah.
He's just...
Charlie's not really a good inward looker. You know,
I don't know that you can be when it comes to stuff like that, especially at that age. Like, you only know your own kind of sensibilities, right? So, you know, when you compare yourself to other people, you don't necessarily go, oh, yeah, I'm so much smarter than these people around me, right? Because,
well, and I think particularly Charlie as well isn't maybe suited to making that kind of judgment.
Also because I think, you know, his social skills are so kind of, I don't want to say diminished, but like they're not
his emotional intelligence is low, and to pick up on that naturally would be very difficult. Yeah. But it still felt like a weird scene to me in the sense that it felt like after finishing the book, it felt a little red herring-ish of
interesting.
Like things are turning around for Charlie, and you know, now we're getting to like a happy ending kind of thing, right? Like it just felt like, you know, a little red herring-ish in that respect. And you know, I mean, again, I'm not a writer, or you know, like it felt a little out of place to me. I did appreciate the scene. I thought it was very kind of neat and wholesome.
For me, I felt like it very much was the logical ending place for Bill's story.
Arc. Yeah.
And this notion that like he tells Charlie that, you know, in the next year, even though you're not in my class, like if you ever want to talk to me, if you ever want to ask me for book recommendations, I really hope you do, because I do think of you as a friend. And it also, you know, when I was saying earlier about how Bill strikes me as, you know, a young teacher, that also kind of makes it feel a little bit more, if he was a 50-something teacher being like, I want you to think of me as your friend, that might be weird. But like, you know, if Bill is like, you know, 20 whatever, it's a little bit more
maybe like 6 years apart or something, right?
Yeah. After prom, Sam and Craig break up.
Well, so the whole thing with Craig, Sam's boyfriend, was that he had been cheating on her the whole time. And it wasn't until Mary Elizabeth's new boyfriend, who was a good friend of Craig's, kind of like got more into the group and started to get to know everyone a little bit better, that he was like, oh, wait, like this is Craig's being
because this friend knew what was going on. And at first, basically, Craig was saying like, oh, no, she's just some dumb bitch or whatever. Nobody cares. But as he got to know Sam, he started to feel bad for what Craig was putting her through. And eventually it gets to the point where
he basically threatens to tell her if Craig doesn't.
You tell her or I tell her everything.
Yeah.
And so he does.
But we don't end up knowing how exactly Craig told Sam. And it's a question even among the group as to like, you know, did he kind of spare her a little bit of the details? You know, what did he tell her? Like, obviously enough that she wants to break up. But
But I think at some point Charlie even says like, I'm hoping that he told her enough to keep her away from him.
Yeah. But rather than so much that it's the entire truth and she's devastated.
But also not so little that she would like forgive him and they'd end up back together again.
Yeah. That, I mean, Charlie definitely doesn't want that.
Well, but also Charlie has this moment of like realizing that he thinks about like his first thought isn't like, oh, she's available.
No.
His first thought is, oh, she's hurting and I just want her to be happy. And this is what allows him to, or what leads him to conclude that he is truly in love with her.
Mary Elizabeth's boyfriend, kind of, they get into a fight, and Charlie and Patrick kind of have to break that up. And that's where Charlie kind of figures it out.
The last day of school.
Last day of school, yeah. Last day of school for Charlie. His friends have already had their last day of school.
Because of prom, yeah. He's on the bus, and he tells this, I don't know if it's a story so much as like, he points out that like the two areas of the bus that like nobody ever sits in was like the front and the back. The front, you were like a nerd, and in the back, you were a squid. I don't know what a squid is supposed to be, but on this day, he decides he's going to sit in the front.
Yeah.
Because he just wants to look at everybody.
Yeah. And he kind of like sets himself up all like, you know, feet up on the seat.
Yeah, he's like back to the window, feet up on the seat. He's got the seat to himself because nobody else wants to sit in the front.
Yeah.
And he just looks and thinks about how everyone looks different than they did from the start of the year. It sort of like has that reflection of that arc of time. And I remember having moments like that, on a, whether on a bus or just sort of like, that last look in your classroom before you leave at the end of summer.
Yeah.
This kind of bittersweet feeling of like, gosh, we've all come so far.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
But also, thank God it's over.
Also, thank God it's over. I'm off for 2 months.
Yeah.
Charlie's brother comes home that night for their sister's graduation.
And then Charlie almost kind of talks himself into a trap here by saying,
mentioning the sports broadcaster. And then
it's like, hey, I was just talking to a sports anchor about you. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, where did you talk to him?
Oh no, I don't want to talk about how I've been hanging out with Patrick, drinking wine and smoking cigarettes
in the pickup park
locations. But manages to spin a relatively not too far from the truth story.
But more benign.
Yeah.
And then his parents don't really follow up because they talk about football and stuff. So
he also notices that his brother is just a little different and a little like kinder and, doesn't come in bragging about himself and instead is asking questions about everybody else. And again, it's more of that, individual growth and the changes that people go through when they're young. The next morning, they're all off to the graduation where Charlie's grandfather starts making racist comments immediately about like, how many coloreds there are on the field.
It's a really, I mean, I think it would be a very funny scene in a film, just like the racist grandpappy in the stands kind of thing. But at the same time, it's horrible, but also like this hilarious curmudgeonly old man.
It is. I mean,
who like only Charlie's brother can shut up.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, shut up. We're going to take you back to the home.
Yeah.
You won't be able to see the graduation. And then the grandfather's like, well, you won't be able to see it either because it'd be driving me.
Tries to call his bluff, and he's like, I have access to the
videotape. Yeah, because his dad has rented a video camera just for this event to record it. With the wisdom of like, why buy a camera when you can rent one just a couple times a year?
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is that Charlie does kind of remark about how when his brother graduated, there was nobody in the stands to stop the grandfather, and so it was so much worse that year.
And Charlie is just ecstatic to see, Patrick, to see Sam, to see his sister.
Yeah. Well, and his sister gets a speech.
His sister is the valedictorian.
No, she's like third in the class or something. Sorry. So, but I guess the top 5 get to give speeches. So, yeah. Or is she second or something?
She's way up there.
Yeah.
She's definitely up there. And then afterwards, the grandfather is the first to hug Charlie's sister.
Yeah. Well, I like too how they talk about everyone gives like this similar speech where they quote songs.
Yeah, they quote a song.
But when it's Charlie's sister, then it actually seems like cool, and the other people were just phonies, like when they were giving their speech.
And then the valedictorian quoted some piece of literature, something by
like Thoreau or something.
Yeah, I think it was Thoreau. After graduation, Charlie wants to immediately go. And as soon as he gets a call from Sam, he wants to go and hang out with them.
But he can't.
Because all the relatives. You got to stay here until all the relatives go.
And he's just like itching for them to go.
But he manages. They all leave.
Yeah.
And his dad gives him like $20 in the car keys, and it's like, "Thanks for staying. It meant a lot to the family."
Yeah.
And then he takes off to go and hang out with Sam and the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. So they go to a dance club in the city, and Charlie ends up dancing with Sam
quite a bit.
At first, it's like kind of a faster song, but then a slow song comes on,
and then it's sort of like, I guess we will.
Yeah.
Then they head over to Peter's apartment, where Charlie gives all of his friends graduation gifts.
Yeah,
the most special ones are for Sam and Patrick, and I really like this gift as well. Basically, he has split up all of the books that he has been given by Bill over the course of this year and gives some to Sam and some to Patrick, and basically includes a letter that says, these are my favorite books for my favorite people.
Yeah, I wonder who he gave Naked Lunch to.
Right? Maybe he didn't give that one.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't finish it.
Maybe he didn't finish it. He tells his friends that he will miss them. He starts to cry. And then sort of Sam takes him to the side, takes him to the kitchen, and says she's scared to be alone at college. But that when things get too much for either of them, they'll contact each other.
Call and write letters and stay in touch. Yeah. Yeah.
Charlie is at school the next day, feeling lonely without his friends.
Yeah.
Gets called teacher's pet.
Doesn't bother him though.
At the end of the year, he's like packing stuff out of his locker, and he decides to make a passing gesture of friendship to the kid of the locker next to him. And this is like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you should have tried this at the beginning of the year.
Exactly. So yeah, that might not bode well for the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does get straight A's. His mom hangs the report card on the refrigerator. Just scanning this here.
Yeah, I mean, this Sam going to have kind of a closure date with Craig, I think bodes well for Charlie, realizing that is closed. That there's no danger there of Sam kind of going off with Craig again. Yeah, and he feels a hopeful kind of sad.
Yeah. And then there's the final party that they all gather at for a while.
And it's at Sam and Patrick's house, I think. Yeah.
And eventually it's just Sam, Patrick, and Charlie left, and they're all just sort of reminiscing. And then even then, Patrick decides to go to bed, and it's just Sam and Charlie.
Yeah, I think Patrick gets the hint.
Yeah. Sam asked Charlie to stay while she finishes packing.
Mm.
And so while she's packing, well, I don't know if she's packing, but when they've gone aside, Sam asked Charlie why he didn't ask her out after she broke up with Craig. And he tries to explain that.
Well, you told me not to.
Well, you told me not to.
Charlie's very literal.
And that he was more concerned about her happiness than his own kind of pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically tries to explain to him that you need to stop putting other people's happiness above your own.
Yeah. This is the speech that you were kind of talking about.
This is the speech that I was talking about.
Where she kind of lays into him a little bit and, in theory, kind of maybe kickstart his way of maybe thinking about this a little bit differently than he ever has before. Because, he's definitely not thinking in that way usually.
Yeah.
Right. His typical way is, well, how can I make sure this person is happy? Or, he's definitely a people pleaser, doesn't often examine his own wants and feelings.
Charlie, I told you not to think of me that way 9 months ago because of what I'm saying now. Not because of Craig, not because I didn't think you were great. It's just that I don't want to be somebody's crush. If somebody likes me, I want them to like the real me, not what they think I am. And I don't want them to carry it around inside. I want them to show me so I can feel it too. I want them to be able to do whatever they want around me. And if they do something I don't like, I'll tell them. I blame Craig for not letting me do things. You know how stupid I feel about that now? Maybe he didn't really encourage me to do things, but he didn't prevent me from doing them either. But after a while, I didn't do things because I didn't want him to think different about me. But the thing is, I wasn't being honest, so why would I care whether or not he loved me when he didn't really even know me? So tomorrow I'm leaving, and I'm not going to let that happen again with anyone else. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to be who I really am, and I'm going to figure out what that is. But right now, I'm here with you, and I want to know where you are, what you need, and what you want to do. And it feels like insufficient or obvious to just say it's incredibly poignant, this notion of, because I think to some extent we all kind of struggle with this question of like, how do we become who we are?
Yeah. Well, especially at this age.
Right? Yeah.
16 and she's 18 and a lot of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it is that those first moments of starting to become who you are.
Yeah.
What do you care about? Who do you love? What do you want to do for the rest of your life? What do you want to study? And
having that kind of awakening of, self-discovery. Yeah, definitely. And Charlie is still, I think, a little bit behind, but I think Sam is helping him here by relaying her own kind of self-discovery and really kind of helping speed things along for Charlie.
Yeah.
Maybe dangerously so. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, so he does end up deciding I'm going to express what I want to Sam by just doing what I want.
Yeah,
which is to kiss her.
Yeah,
and the kissing leads to more, some second base stuff.
Yeah,
they kind of move over to the bed.
Yeah,
she starts kind of touching him below the belt.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, he's just like, no.
Yeah.
But it's not just a no. It's almost like a panic that starts to set in.
Yeah, something's unlocked here.
Yeah. And he's like, I need to go. I'm going to go. And Sam is like, I can't let you go like this. Something's not right.
Yeah. You need to just stay here and sleep it off kind of thing. But the thing that he says is, I can't do this anymore, or I can't do that anymore, when she's kind of touching him in the downstairs.
Yeah.
And now we kind of get into where some of the clues and hints and things have been leading us since earlier in the book.
Yeah. He has a dream that night that he's watching TV with his Aunt Helen. And then Aunt Helen starts to touch him the way that Sam was touching him. He wakes up and Sam and Patrick are over him looking worried. He eats breakfast with them and Sam and Patrick's parents. The rest of the friends come over to say goodbye before Sam leaves. Sam hugs Charlie, says it was okay that he wasn't ready last night and that she'd miss him.
And that he's her best friend.
Yeah. Afterwards, Mary Elizabeth invites Charlie to come to Big Boy with their friends, but Charlie decides he just needs to go home. He gets home and he starts hearing things on the TV that aren't playing.
Yeah, like he's, kind of a bit of a movie trope, right? Of like the guy sitting there watching TV, but it's not on, but he's seeing something. And he's spiraling now pretty quickly.
Yeah. And he begins to realize that what he dreamed about Aunt Helen touching him
is
true.
Yeah.
Which takes us, I think, into the epilogue.
Yeah.
So at this point, Charlie has now been in a hospital for 2 months.
Yeah.
We learn that basically he was found unresponsive, naked, sitting on the sofa, just staring at a blank TV. And
he didn't speak to anyone for a week. And it turns out that psychiatrist was right to be probing some of these earlier years.
It is interesting the way that he talked about the psychiatrist earlier in the book, because when he talks about how he didn't like some of the questions that the psychiatrist was asking, he never really talks about what the questions were.
Well, I mean, he mentions that they were about when he was younger.
Yes.
But that's about it.
Exactly.
Not that it was around Aunt Helen or anything like that.
Or molestation or.
But I mean, I think we, especially now at this point in the book, we piece together that, those questions were kind of directed more to that relationship when he was a kid with Aunt Helen. And, especially because certainly in the first half of the book, the relationship with Aunt Helen was such a special kind of thing for Charlie. And he was so sad when she died. And, like it's been this kind of tragedy in his life that everyone in the family kind of looks at as like a big loss for Charlie. And so maybe that's where the question started from the psychiatrist, and he got wind of maybe something else and started digging deeper, right? And that really made Charlie uncomfortable. And so he pushed away from that. But now it's kind of come full circle and he's essentially dealing with it through this kind of meltdown. Yeah. So the doctors basically realize and help him realize that he was being molested by Aunt Helen. This comes out to the family, and everyone's pretty shook up about this because they didn't realize this was happening, and it didn't happen with any of the other kids or anything. Right?
I think some of the struggle that Charlie had was that he did have legitimately good memories of Aunt Helen, separate from the molestation. And having to find a way of either balancing that or
blocking out,
blocking one of them in order to continue having one of them. And even now that it's sort of come to the surface, I can't remember exactly how he phrases it, but there is still this notion of still wanting to hang on to those.
To the good memories.
Those good memories.
But yeah, I mean, the family is quite shocked as well. They visit him regularly as he kind of convalesces here.
He finds himself sort of deciding that he's not, his issues don't stem from what happened with Aunt Helen. And as much as he knows that what happened was important, that he should remember it, and that, like, you know, processing that trauma or whatever is important.
Mm-hmm.
But who people are comes from a lot of different things.
That's right.
And he points out that, you know, in the future, if he ever has kids, he's never going to tell them that someone has it worse than them.
Yeah.
He does eventually get released from the hospital. He goes to McDonald's with his mom. They eat some fries. And then later, Sam and Patrick, who I think have come back to visit.
It's like because Sam had to leave early, so she gets to come back.
Yeah.
And it's
I think it's August.
Near the end of August, yeah.
And so they hang out a little bit, and Sam says, you know what, we'll go through the tunnel again, and this time you can be in the back of the truck.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And so they get to the tunnel. He gets in the back. Patrick turns up the music on the radio. They're barreling through the tunnel. He feels the wind in his face. He thinks about how he still loves his Aunt Helen for buying him, you know, the 2 sets of presents, how he wants the people around him to be happy. Of course, he starts to cry, feeling infinite.
Yeah.
And then he writes that this is his last letter because the new school year is starting and he plans to be busy with participating for a change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's already made inroads with that kid who's next to his
kid
locker.
Next to him. Yeah, that went really well. And then he ends by asking the reader to believe that things are good with him and promises to believe the same about the reader.
Yeah.
Now, did you have the afterword?
I did, yeah. So is that not part of the original book?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because I think it's the 20th anniversary edition with a new letter from Charlie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So in this 20th anniversary edition, there is one final letter that's dated, I think, 20 years later.
That's right. Yeah.
And
from like an adult Charlie looking back at all of this.
Yes.
Now presumably well adjusted. And, you know, that kind of thing.
And the letter basically is saying, like, I'm writing this to you again. I don't know if you'll ever see it. I'm addressing it to the same place that you were.
Well, he explains of a phenomenon that happened where somehow these letters got out.
Yeah.
And people responded to them and started writing
very
back.
Clearly in my mind, this is the author talking about the letters that he's received about this book over the years.
Yeah.
Because realistically, I don't really see how this letter to this one individual person, who will never know who they are, would have spread around to enough other people that more letters came. But we're doing the whole
there's a
suspension of disbelief
a little bit.
So apparently letters have gotten back to Charlie from all the people who've seen his letters over the years.
Yeah.
You know, saying things like, you're not alone. We've experienced the same things. And also wanting to know, are you okay?
Yeah.
And the chapter is about basically saying, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He made it.
Yeah.
There's no details really about what his life is like now, 20 years later, what he does for work, whether he went to university, you know, whether he ever hooked up with Sam.
Mm-hmm. No, but I mean, the general context is that he's made it through.
Yeah.
Right. The worst is behind him. And he's in a good place.
And more than that, it's about telling the readers of the people who have read it before and are reading it now, who relate to Charlie's plight, to his experiences, and to that feeling of, will I survive?
Yeah.
The message there in the afterword is, yes, you can.
Well, and more so, I think, as well, that if you feel like you can't, or you don't want to, that it is worth it to push
very
through.
Much so. Very much so.
That there is light on the other side, no matter how dark things may be at this time in your life, right? So I think, that's kind of a nice message, and maybe would have been difficult to include in the original book, I guess. But it was a nice way to wrap it up and put kind of another level of perspective on it. And I think, for people that read this book and are in a dark place or, experiencing these kind of feelings to whatever extent, to have that little message of hope kind of wrap it up is really nice.
Yeah. And that's the book.
Yeah. Charlie survives. We don't know exactly what happened in those 20 years, but yeah.
No, and that's interesting because I think a lot of writers, that would be their first instinct to be like, let's fill in the gaps of what this person did. But
that's not what this is about.
It's not. No. And it's just that re-emphasis of the message of you can survive and it's worth doing.
That's right.
Right. I enjoyed this. This is an extremely good book.
Yeah. It's very much brings you back to, I think no matter what your high school experience was, there's elements in this book that are going to resonate with you.
It certainly did with me.
Yeah.
I was
more
very
so or
much
less
at
so.
Charlie as a high schooler, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was too in a sense, but I think no matter your experience.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
There's
stuff
elements,
to relate to.
Yeah. And whether you were close with your teachers or not, or had a big friend group or a small friend group, there's all sorts of things here that just really transport you back, and even if it's only a few elements, you really get drawn into this world of Charlie's high school experience. And, it just makes it all that more realistic and, fun and sad and, dark and light and really, really well written.
And I found myself thinking about, when I look back at my high school years, there's not a lot of detailed memories. They're all sort of like, vague. Mm-hmm. I might remember specific moments here or there, but reading this really reminded me of just how much happens over the course of a year when you're in high school. Mm-hmm. I may not remember it, but I remember that things happened.
And the emotions.
The day-to-day, the, drama with one person one day, gone the next day. And so much was life or death.
Yeah.
All of these things that I can't fucking for the life of me remember now.
Yeah, because you made it through.
I made it through.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to come back on the 18th of January with a live episode.
That's right.
To share our final thoughts on this book. And hopefully some of you will come along to have that conversation with us.
Yeah.
As always.
I think in this case, it would be, very neat to hear from any listeners who really identify with this book or, have maybe some of these stories of hope and of making it through and, what that was like for you and if this book was a help or not. I think for me, and I don't know about you, Todd, but like, if I had this book to read in high school, which kind of, missed us by a little bit, maybe only 5 years or so, but, did miss us in those high school years. I think it would have been very helpful, right? In terms of helping to really kind of get those emotions and those feelings and, that internal monologue that's so hard to discern from other students at that time.
I do
really
feel like
that, right?
there were fewer books of this sort that were willing to tackle these kinds of subjects for that age group.
Yeah.
Which I think to an extent was maybe why I was drawn towards, adult literature.
Yeah.
I read a ton of Stephen King in high school, which is, probably not anything that helped me get through high school. And probably, I'm sure I read Rage multiple times in high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. If you relate to Charlie, if you relate to Sam, if you relate to Patrick, any of these characters, any of their experiences, we just want to chat.
Yeah. Maybe you're a sports anchor.
Maybe you're a sports anchor. So it'll be 3 p.m. On January 18th. And you got to go through Podbean, the Podbean app.
Our friends at Podbean.
Put it on your phone. Make sure you have headsets plugged in, and you can call us. You can also engage in the chat. I think you can do that on the website.
Yeah.
And
you can do it from your phone too.
You can do it from your phone.
Yeah. But lots of times people don't want to call in per se, but leave us your questions in the chat as well, and we can talk about it.
And then everything, all of our good stuff is on blahblahblahmedia.com, BLAH media.com. You can find all of our podcasts there. You can find links to our merch, to our Buy Us a Coffee, to our Patreon.
Yeah, just get out there and interact.
And follow us on Facebook if you want.
Yeah. And YouTube, right? You can follow on YouTube as well. Yeah.
Yeah, all the episodes go on YouTube. You can listen on YouTube as well as all your favorite podcast platforms. You can listen on the website. There's a little plug-in on the homepage that has all of our episodes there that you can just quickly press play and listen if you want to. And yeah, modern technology. I like that. Yeah, I think that's about all we got.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to hearing from you guys, and we'll see you live.
Exactly. I've been Todd Sullivan.
I've been Peter Ammon.
And until then,
go read a fucking book.